getting ready for the start of the regular season.
Yeah, I love that we get to do these exhibitions because you get to see things that maybe you're not seeing when you're playing yourselves. So I liked some things that we were doing, and I didn't like some things that we were doing, which is typical. So I think we still have some challenges on some decision making on positions, so that some of that wasn't clarified. So you could see multiple people playing some positions, I think, this weekend. And I mean, we are going to get it right away. Loyola Chicago is really good. They return virtually everybody, and they look pretty dang good. So we're going to have to be ready to go.
Questions?
Out of the players, I guess when you've talked to them about this schedule and this build up and this preseason and obviously the extra summer practices you have with the foreign trip, it's kind of ready, fire, aim with volleyball, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like your non-con is a beast. How do you think the players are like preparing themselves for it?
Oh, I think they love that. You know, I think they chose Creighton. That's one of the things that we talk about in the recruiting process. So I can confidently tell you they're excited to play anyone on the other side of the net.
Coach, you mentioned kind of still having some questions as far as just positions and rotations. Where do you kind of still see those question marks as you guys head into the stretch?
Yeah, I think there's quite a few actually. I think, I mean, honestly, every position has some fluidity in it based on bodies and, things that people bring. Maybe this person brings offense, the other person brings blocking. The libero position has been one that has been, definitely is being duked out for. But I would say there's like probably 3 positions that we're still kind of, there's some fluidity in.
What's making those decisions so hard? Is it just the talent or kind of finding the identity of how y'all want to play this year?
Yeah, I think we've got a lot of players that are good, and I think some of them bring different things. Like the example of this kid maybe brings more offense, this kid brings more blocking. This kid maybe is more of a spark plug. So most of it's going to be physical, but there are some emotional pieces to it too. So, you want to see how everyone likes each other. So no one is a bad chemistry kid on the team. So that's not a fear at all. But players mesh differently. Who's going to be able to build people up in different circumstances? So that stuff is, stuff that will evolve as we figure things out. But it's definitely a good problem to have. It's hard. We're doing individual meetings actually as we speak, and some people are being told, "Hey, this weekend I don't think you're going to get the start, but know that you're right on the fringe." And so, that takes some resiliency to say, "Okay, I'm going to fight for this, and I'm going to go get that spot."
What did you notice in the difference between the 6-on-6 you evaluated against yourselves and then seeing it under the lights against an opponent this past weekend?
Well, I thought there was some consistency that wasn't as good that we've had. I think some of that's just handling being under the lights. So I think that's the biggest thing. You can nitpick almost every skill from first contacts to blocking, to offensive connection. So there's pieces of all of that has to get better. But I really like what we've been doing in the gym. And I thought Northern Colorado exploited some things that, we'll be able to get back into the gym this week that I think are more mental things of where do I need to go, it's just some training things that I think we can be better at on Friday.
I think you rotated, was it 3 at libero against Northern Colorado? What did you kind of see from all 3 when they were on the court?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, they all, the hard part is they've all had different days that one's better than the other, if it be passing or defense. So at this point, we're just trying to look for consistency. The kid that, because I can't make a libero change in the middle of a set, right? So you've got to have a kid that maybe gets ace but is ready to come back and nail the next pass, or misses a dig and is resilient enough. So kind of identifying those things. I think all 3 of them would be great liberos. I think you'll see at least one more of them on the court in a defensive specialist position, and we may play 2 DSs sometimes. So I think all of them will get time. So whoever dons that libero jersey knows that they're going to have to keep competing, and then there's DS spots that'll still be an ongoing competition.
You mentioned last week that fluidity is not something that you hope is a component of this team, but if the depth is just truly that there's a lot of players that are ready and maybe on a given day it's someone over another, is it something that the coaching staff is I guess, at least entertaining the thought of that maybe it's just a deep team and there's a lot of contributors here instead of 6 that you trust?
Well, that doesn't mean we don't trust them.
Yeah,
I think
sure.
you don't want players to live in a world of, is this going to be the day I don't play for some random reason? If we do have changes, there needs to be purpose behind it. So the purpose might be this team likes to hit this shot, you're better at defending it, or you're better at blocking it. So if there's purpose behind it, but I won't be flipping kids in and out just because, unless maybe someone has an injury that we're trying to rest them. I think we have more depth in the sense of that we could do things like that if necessary, but it won't be just because.
Any standouts that you saw from this past weekend that you're a little surprised about? Just seeing them in game time action.
Yeah, no, I don't know if I'm always weary to call out specific things, but, I thought we played hard. I didn't think we were as clean as we needed to be at times. We've already done a lot of video stuff, sending them clips that hopefully players can see some areas that they can get better. But I thought, they played well as a unit. They said that they felt good on the court together. They managed stress pretty well. So those are important things. But I do think we're going to have to play better this weekend than we did on Saturday. But that's the beginning of the season. And I have learned over the years, these exhibitions, I actually like to feel the way I feel. If I felt like we were so good, I think that you walk in a little too confident. I think getting humbled a little bit can be good for us going into the weekend.
How big of an evaluator will this road trip be, just as far as like where team is at and just kind of assessing everything?
Yeah, I mean, we're playing, one top 25 team, and I think Loyola has a chance to be a top 30 team. Duke is coming off a little bit of a rough year with some injuries and things that went on within their program, but I know they're going to be really good. And they manhandled Davidson in an exhibition this past weekend. So I think it'll tell us pretty quickly where we're matching up. It'll also tell us, hey, we're doing some of the right things, and this is where we've got to get better.
Go ahead.
Sorry, with the team this deep, are red shirts on the table if some kids get beat out for spots, or is everybody kind of...
Potentially. We haven't talked to anyone about it yet, but we have discussed it.